Flatline is one of the most misunderstood missions in Hitman Blood Money, and the reason people dislike it is actually the reason it works. On the surface, it's a rescue mission, and that does drag the level down. But if you look at how it's designed, Flatline quietly follows the Hitman formula better than almost any other mission in the game. Everything takes place inside a rehabilitation facility. You're first told to rescue Agent Smith, a recurring joke character in the series, and only after that does he tell you who the real target is. And that framing is important because it's where most of the criticism does come from. People unfortunately remember Flatline for having to get Agent Smith, having to go through that second part or first part depending on where you do it, and that brings the whole thing down because then it's a rescue mission, not an assassination mission. But I think that framing actually hides what the level is really doing and how great it is, because that setup allows the targets in Flatline to be randomized. Each playthrough the target can be one of 3 different characters, and each of them has their own routine, and that works because the facility is designed as a living space. You don't just infiltrate it, you become a part of it. There are guards, patients, orderlies, and a therapist, and each role gives you access to different parts of the building and different permission. Each target has one accidental opportunity, one poisoning opportunity, and one moment where they're completely alone. That's more flexibility than most Hitman levels give you, even today. And the fact that 2 of the 3 targets are optional in any run makes repeat playthroughs even more interesting. Flatline wants you to stalk your targets and experiment. The disguises also play into this. There are not many disguises in Flatline, but even with the few that there are, you're never comfortable in one. If you start as a patient, you're restricted to only patient areas. You can't enter staff rooms, medical wing, or personal rooms. You can follow the targets, but you have to find another way inside their room or inside a private area. And if you take the disguise of a worker, a security guard, or the therapist, you gain access to most areas in the facility, but not the medical wing where Agent Smith is. Which means at some point you're gonna have to sneak around. No matter what you're wearing, you're never fully comfortable. And that constant friction is the point of Flatline. The therapist disguise does give you the most access around the rehab facility though. With it you can speak to targets and call them to a private session, which then lets you kill them in isolation and hide the body easily. This works with 2 of the 3 targets because one of the targets will walk through a different way. So if you've hit them in the room just besides the seating area, they will be found, which is really annoying. But it can be a bit too easy to obtain the therapist's disguise. He's very often alone in long corridors, and it's quite easy to get him, and then that makes the entire rehab part a bit too easy. That could be a downside, but I think it just adds to the replayability because it lets you speedrun repeat playthroughs. Flatline is also one of the first Hitman missions to feature 2 objectives in the same location, but in 2 functionally different sections. The rehab facility and the medical wing behave completely differently. Only orderlies are allowed in the medical wing, and there's only a few easy chances to get that disguise. And that restriction creates tension. You're constantly aware that your access is limited. It reinforces the feeling of a real facility with rules, not a playground built for the player. I will address the criticism because some players dislike Flatline because the mission tells you to rescue Agent Smith first, and that then frames it as a rescue mission, not an assassination. I would argue the opposite. No matter which order you approach it in, because you can, do the whole facility part first, then rescue Agent Smith, you have to engage with the facilities, the routines, and the system. You're still observing targets, you're still manipulating the environment, you're still solving a Hitman level, and that plays perfectly into the Hitman formula. And there's not many other missions in Hitman Blood Money that do this, and that's why I think it's underrated. You're given this actual facility with, guards and rules and different roles, and you're never fully comfortable because each disguise has limitations. All of that is really cool, and no other level in Hitman Blood Money really gets that right. What's your thoughts on Flatline from Hitman Blood Money? Let me know in the comments.